Oh. When is an apple not an apple?
No.
When there are two of them and it's a pear. Okay. Hi, I'm Rupert.
Are you looking down camera?
Oh yeah, I was. Yeah. I think I've always believed in God, and therefore I assumed I must be a Christian. So for me, I thought Christianity was just about believing in God and trying to be a nice person. I had no interest in having a personal relationship with Jesus Christ. I did not want him to be Lord of my life. I wanted to be Lord of my own life and free to follow my own desires and ambitions. And career-wise, everything was working out. I just completed an MBA before that. I was working as a lawyer in Silicon Valley, California. So externally, everything looked great. But internally, it felt that something substantial was missing. For a long time, I'd avoided life's really big questions, those things that actually really mattered, and set alongside those big questions, it felt like everything I was doing with my life was fairly meaningless. I wasn't depressed, I was having a good time, living for the weekend, but I felt like things couldn't be all that superficial. Things had to be a bit more substantial to that. There had to be something with meaning that I could commit to. So I had books on philosophy, I had a book on the world's religions. I particularly enjoyed the chapter on Christianity, but again, I didn't want to commit. So I did some research and I heard about a guy called E. Stanley Jones who'd been a missionary in India in the first part of the 20th century. And it was said that he'd won people to Christ by the thousand through the orderly argument that he was able to mount. Well, E. Stanley Jones led me to a realisation that if God really did want us to know him, he wouldn't reveal himself in a book, because whilst we can trust a book and be loyal to a book, we can't know a book and connect with a book at a deep level. We certainly can't love a book. And the only thing that we can really connect with at a deep level and love is a person. So God would have to reveal himself in the form of a human being. So whilst there were many religions which were all about man's search for God, there was just one gospel, which was God's search for man. And all of this made sense. And I started to think, well, if that's true, is everything else true? Is it true that Jesus Christ died for me, took on the punishment that should have been mine in my place, so that the slate would be wiped clean, I could be back all right with God through nothing that I had done? And I started to ask, is God like that? Is that what God's like? And it started to dawn on me that if God is perfect, which of course he is, and if he does love me, which of course he does, then this is exactly what God would look like. This is what perfect love looks like. Dying for someone, even or particularly someone who turned their back on them as I had done. And I realised that this is the truth. And I started to, for the first time ever, know inside and accept the divinity of Jesus Christ. And that changed me internally in a way that I find difficult to explain. But now I understand that Christianity is not about believing in God. It's not about trying to be nice. It's about understanding the character of the author of reality through Jesus Christ. And by understanding the author of reality, your perception of reality starts to change, and I started to change. So I knew I needed to find a church. I tried lots of churches. It took me a long time to find Woody's, but I made it eventually. I loved it instantly. I did the Alpha course. I met lots of great people on that. I've still got a long way to go. This is just the start of my journey, but I feel like I'm finally moving in the right direction. So this is the time for me to commit my life to God and to Jesus Christ. And to be honest, there's nothing that could be more natural than to commit your life to your Creator who loves you and loves everyone that you love. Nothing could be more natural than that. So that's my story. That's the end. Woohoo! Cool.